Lora Cheadle is a betrayal recovery coach, attorney, and TEDx speaker who helps women heal from betrayal on an energetic, emotional, and ancestral level, while also providing legal guidance to help them navigate the practical complexities of infidelity and relationship transitions. Lora empowers women to rise from the ashes, reclaim their identity and self-worth, and break free from repeating patterns and step into their power with confidence, clarity, and grace. Welcome, Lora.
Thank you. I am so excited for our conversation today.
I'm so excited to have you here too, Lora, because you are such a powerhouse, having practiced as an attorney for so long. So you know a lot about the legalities of relationships and whatnot. But all of your assistance to women with trauma, betrayal, and working through that stuff, I think is so powerful.
Yeah, thank you. It's a lot. There's so much to think about. And the intersection of the love piece, the money piece, the self-worth piece, there's just so much. Also, just the practical societal considerations of what women are expected to do and the pressure that we put on ourselves is enormous.
We're talking today about healing from betrayal and coming out of a betrayal situation with confidence. And I think that that is a really tall order if you are someone who is listening right now and is in the trenches of betrayal, right?
Yes, absolutely. Betrayal, I like to start as a lawyer, I'd like to start with the definition of betrayal.
Perfect.
Betrayal is defined as the breaking of an expectation that you have relied on that ruptures your view of yourself or the world. When we typically hear the word betrayal, we think about infidelity, and that's absolutely a betrayal. But also just getting a divorce can feel like a betrayal. Losing your job can feel like a betrayal. Hitting menopause can feel like a betrayal. Like there are so many different situations and experiences in life where your view of yourself or the world has been ruptured, and it really can sabotage your ability to move forward.
Well, I, of course, was going to bring up infidelity because that's the first thing that people think of when they think of betrayal. But if I go further, I think about things like, what if you have a partner who isn't helping with young children the way they promised they were going to, or isn't allowing you to have any time for yourself and get a break? I mean, there are all sorts of things and ways in which you could feel betrayed, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I know a big one for me. My husband got a job that required him to travel 2 weeks out of every month. And the words I kept saying to myself were, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up to be a quasi single parent. That's a form of betrayal. Similarly, if you don't get a promotion, if your parents get sick and God forbid pass away, it can feel like a betrayal. Cognitively, you understand things like that happen. Emotionally, it feels like, what did I do to deserve this? Well, if this can happen, what else can happen? And it sends us into a spiral.
When I think about betrayal, certainly I think about the immediate awful feeling that we get when we are recognizing that this is, we might not put the term betrayal in it, but we recognize that something is happening that is unfair or hurtful to us.
Mhm.
But aren't there impacts really long after that moment when we're feeling it?
Yes. Oh my goodness. I'm so glad you asked that because, yes, in the moment, we need to feel our feelings. In the moment, we get that. But the long-term implications are absolutely what I'm talking about. Because what happens is it shuts us down. It shuts us down energetically. It makes us hypervigilant. If this could happen, what else is going to happen? So then we start future casting negativity. We start distrusting other people. And then worse, we distrust ourselves. Because if I couldn't see that coming, what else am I missing? Oh my gosh, my picker must be broken. My intuition must be broken. And then it really starts spiraling in, and we become fearful. We become bitter. We become hardened. And quite honestly, we become unable to accept any kind of joy or positivity because lurking beneath the surface is that feeling that when's the other shoe going to drop? What else is going to happen?
Well, I always think, as a fraud investigator, I am assessing people all the time. And I feel like I'm a pretty good judge of character. And then I get involved in some sort of business deal that goes wrong and someone cheats me in that business deal. And I think, why wasn't I able to tell that this was a dishonest person? I'm a fraud investigator, for goodness sakes. Now I don't trust my own judgment of other people.
That's exactly
It's
it.
so easy to fall down that rabbit hole. Okay, so how can we recognize some of the symptoms of betrayal in our lives?
Yeah. If you ever have had a feeling where you start internalizing, what's wrong with me? What did I do wrong? What did I do to deserve this? Is this bad karma? If you start catastrophizing things, that's the first clue that you know what's going on is a sense of betrayal. Whenever you're catastrophizing, whenever you're internalizing, when it's not a healthy, you know what, this is right, this is wrong, this is unfortunate. But when you really start internalizing and making it about you and making it personal, that's your first clue that, you know what, I bet there's some betrayal going on here.
And I think it's really important to be able to recognize that because it all goes back to mindset. And I know some people think we start talking about mindset, oh, it's just warm, fuzzy, woo woo kind of stuff. But really, that headspace that you're in affects so much in your life. And so I don't want to personally dwell on negative things, but if I am having feelings of betrayal, I think it's really important to be able to recognize them so I can do something about it, so I can get my mindset right to be in a better place, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Because here's the thing about betrayal. Typically, if you've been betrayed, you have been victimized in some way or another. Yes, I want to honor and acknowledge and call it out. If somebody has betrayed you, you have been victimized. But being victimized is not the same as being a victim. I do not have to carry the identity of a victim. I do not have to carry the energy of a victim. I am a strong, capable, intelligent, powerful woman who happened to be victimized. It says nothing about me, my identity, or my self worth. It's just something that happened. And once you can start separating that, that's when you can start moving forward and making those powerful changes. Like you talked about clients. I thought I was a good judge of character. I'm doing this fraud investigation. They scammed me. What is this? It doesn't say anything about you. It says something about them. They are a fraudulent person. They are the bad person, not you. You are a smart, capable, intuitive, thoughtful, all of the good things person who also happened to have a bad thing happen. And that's normal.
I think, though, we're in a time and age when society places a lot of the blame on victims and really holds the victims accountable for what happened to them and asks them to look at, well, why did your husband cheat on you? What role did you have in that? Things like that. Or puts them in a position of, you need to forgive the person who victimized you so you can move forward. Don't tell me as the victim what I need to do, right?
Right, right. And what's so frustrating about that is it can be empowering to look at yourself and to think, you know what, here's something I could have done different.
Yes.
That's not a blame. That's absolutely different than victim blaming. That's saying, you know what, I lived and I learned and this is going to change. But you're right, it is never the victim's fault. The person who cheated you, the person who hurt you, the person who vandalized, whatever, they are the bad actor, not you.
If they took advantage of you because you were vulnerable in some way, that is not a shortcoming on your part.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay, so how does the betrayal play out in our lives? Like, what are the results that you can see in someone who has been a victim of betrayal?
Yeah, it's that slow shutting down. And that's one of those things that sometimes you don't see it right away. You think I'm being tender with myself because I'm vulnerable, because I'm hurt. And yes, you should be tender. Yes, you should be compassionate towards yourself. But then we start putting ourselves out there a little bit less and a little bit less. We start taking fewer and fewer risks, and we start blaming ourselves more. Instead of saying, okay, what I learned from this situation was I will no longer X, Y, and Z. Then it starts becoming, well, maybe I shouldn't do this. Well, what will other people think? Well, maybe I can control them. And we start trying to control other people's behavior. We can never control other people's behavior. We can only control ourselves. And living in life involves a certain amount of risk. It's realizing I can be resilient towards risk. I can be resilient towards bad things, and I'm still going to live my life fully because, and this is the bottom line, I trust myself to be able to handle whatever comes up, even if it's not what I expected.
Okay, do I actually have to be the victim? Do I have to be betrayed by someone else to experience betrayal trauma?
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked that. No. Sometimes it's very obvious. Somebody told a secret. They took credit for your work. Sometimes there's a very overt betrayal. But most often, it's based on our own broken expectations. Going back to the definition of betrayal, a betrayal is the breaking of an expectation that
Mm.
ruptures our view of ourself or the world. A true story, when I was in-house practicing law, I was stressed out. I was totally irrational. So we're going to put that frame around it. My company issued this new policy around trash cans. Senior attorneys got wood panel trash cans with built-in recycling bins. Us junior attorneys, we got those big brownish plastic trash cans with no recycling bins. Neutral policy doesn't matter at all. I felt profoundly betrayed by the company. I was like, if you were going to do this to me, what else are you going to do? I had this expectation that as an attorney, I would always be held in high regard, that my office would always be nice. I would always get the perks. And to me, in that moment, this felt like a betrayal. There was no actual betrayal. It's my perception. Similarly, like the COVID pandemic, so many people felt betrayed by that because our expectation was we'll be healthy. There can be vaccines, there can be shots. The world isn't going to shut down. So when
Right.
it shuts down, we feel betrayed. No, COVID didn't personally come out and betray you. It's our perception of the situation.
Wow, that is such a different way of looking at it. It's absolutely accurate now that you say it, but I never thought about the fact that there doesn't have to be an actual betrayal in order for me to have a feeling of betrayal trauma.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And think about the layers of problems then that creates, because then inside it's like, what's going on with me? I must be wrong. I don't know why I'm so negative. I don't know why I'm so paranoid.
So I'm thinking about women who are going through major life changes. Maybe that's a big career change, maybe it's a divorce, maybe becoming an empty nester, the death of a partner, lots of big life changes. I feel like those are times when betrayal can really come up as an issue.
Huge, huge. Because no, we don't get married expecting to get divorced. We don't ever think our partner is going to be the one to die. We don't even think our aging parents or grandparents are going to die. Like, we have all of these expectations. So, yes, during these major life transitions, they have not been expected. So we feel a little bit betrayed. Why did it happen to me? Why is everybody else in a good relationship? Why does everybody else's career work out? So it breeds that bitterness and that resentment.
But even if you're in a voluntary change, like you have decided to make a career shift and this is all gravy and it's a wonderful thing that you've chosen, I have a feeling that past betrayal trauma can rear its head during that time just because those big changes in life are so emotional.
Absolutely. Which leads right into self-sabotage. Well, I'm going to make this big change. I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to really do this. Or, hey, I started my podcast and look, I didn't get 10,000, 100 million listeners on the first week. Oh my gosh, I've been betrayed. Everybody out there says I would have done it. It just shuts you down. It not really encourages, but it lends itself to self-sabotage. It lends yourself to that internalization that everything that is not happening good for me must somehow be my fault.
So, what are some practical things that we can do to address this? Because I don't want to torpedo that career change. I don't want to heap extra negativity on myself if I've just lost my spouse and I'm trying to get through that. So, what can I do to deal with my betrayal trauma?
Yeah, I've got so many tools, but for today, there are two that I want to talk about. The first one is managing your expectations, being able to assess, are my expectations idealistic or are they realistic? How you do that is you ask yourself three questions. Question one, can I identify what my expectation is? Question two, can I communicate that expectation to the appropriate person? And number three, can I advocate on behalf of that expectation? If you can identify, communicate, and advocate, you know it's a realistic expectation. I expect to get a paycheck at the end of the day. If I don't get it, I can identify. The problem is I didn't get my paycheck. Who can I communicate? I'm going to go to payroll. I'm going to talk to HR. Can I advocate? Yes, I worked X many of hours. My rate is, I should get that. That's a very realistic expectation versus an unrealistic expectation. Like I expected my, like you mentioned, spouse to live forever. Can I identify that? Okay, well, really, what was that expectation? Did I really expect that they might live forever? Well, no, but I did kind of expect a happy, healthy relationship. Okay, who would you communicate that to? Dear universe, you disappointed me? There's really not somebody to communicate that to. And then advocate. How would I advocate on behalf of that expectation? You really can't. So that's how you know that's not that's not a realistic expectation. And sometimes just when you can identify, is it realistic or is it idealistic? It's hard to let it go, but at least then you can rationally realize it wasn't realistic of me to expect that. Things just happen and it helps you move on.
I love your example of the paycheck, but that one seems like an easy one to deal with because it's really black and white. You got paid or you didn't. Everyone knows you were supposed to get paid. I think when it comes to interpersonal relationships, it's
So
going to be much
different.
harder. Yeah.
So different. But here's how that plays out. You had also mentioned earlier about like a spouse not helping with the kids. Okay, what is the expectation? My expectation is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you do something. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I do something. Let's start talking about it. In the legal world, a contract is formed when you have the meeting of the minds. It's the same way in our interpersonal relationship. Let's talk about it because your partner might be thinking, "Oh, I do take care of the kids." But that's not what you mean. So it's identifying, I mean, you pick up from daycare, you make dinner. Identify it, then communicate it. Who would you communicate that dissatisfaction to? Your partner, your boss, whoever it is. You can have a conversation about it. And then you can get into that advocacy piece and that stating, this is what I need and this is why. And then you can negotiate it. It's all in service of having the meeting of the minds. And yes, can that be a difficult conversation? Absolutely. But that's how we advocate to get our needs met. Otherwise, you just sit there and you're like, oh, what a jerk. And that doesn't help anybody.
To me, being upset all the time because things aren't meeting your expectations, that's a lot harder than having that uncomfortable conversation. I'd just rather have the conversation and lay it out there and say, hey, here's what I was thinking. What are you thinking? Let's figure out how to make this work for both of us.
Exactly. And then worst case scenario, you're at an impasse. At least you know you're at an impasse. Now you can figure out something else to do.
Right. I love that. Okay. If we don't acknowledge that we've been betrayed or we don't address it, What is the impact on us?
The impact is we're grouchy all the time.
Yes.
We are that bitter, resentful old person that we all, hear about. We're the curmudgeon. And like I said earlier, it's a slow creeping impact, but it's where we are taking away our own voice. We are silencing our own voice. We are cutting ourselves off at the knees because we're not identifying what we want. We're not communicating what we want. We're not advocating on behalf of ourselves. We're just thinking, the world should give this to me. Oh, it's not. And then we're disappointed. My partner should give this to me. Oh, they didn't. Now I'm disappointed. My job should give this to me. Oh, it's not. I'm disappointed. So truly, it cuts off your potential. But I think most importantly, it just makes you not enjoy life. You're out of that magic and possibility and fun, and you're just grouchy all the time.
I think women are far more likely to just accept situations as they are without advocating for change. And I think it's really detrimental. And I think society reinforces women taking whatever they get, right?
Yes. Yes. And advocacy is such a big word, and so many people misunderstand. They think you have to fight. Two biggest ways to advocate on behalf of yourself. Number one, use I statements. I need, I want, I expect. Number two, set some boundaries. A boundary is not a command. It's a statement of what you are going to do if something does or does not happen. I am going to leave this career. I'm going to leave this room. I'm going to step out. That's advocacy. Simple. It's not like you have to learn persuasive communication skills. It's not like you have to get angry and disrupt relationships. I statements and boundaries help you advocate.
I love those so much. Okay, as we're wrapping up, I want to talk about one more thing. I want to talk about how to stop having those feelings of betrayal sabotage that next chapter of your life.
Yeah. Sounds so trivial, sounds so trite, but the number one way to calm and re-regulate the nervous system is through laughter. Laughter, yes, it moves you from that survival portion of your brain back into the prefrontal cortex. Even smiling can be a start at helping you reclaim your brain. Social media's got a lot of funny stuff. Comedians, friends, books. Do something to make yourself laugh. I am not kidding. Laughter makes you smarter. It makes you more resilient and is going to help you in the transition.
I love that. And I love to laugh myself, so I must be doing something right here.
You are.
Lora, I want to talk about your betrayal recovery toolkit that you have available and that we are going to link in the show notes. Can you tell me what that's about?
Oh, yes. It's just a betrayal recovery toolkit for any time you are feeling betrayed and you want to start figuring out what are your next steps moving forward. The favorite piece of that toolkit is a full-length hypnotic meditation that helps you delete the drama of what happened in the past so you can start putting it in perspective and move forward in a calm, centered state.
Oh, I love that. I am going to download that. So thank you so much for offering that to us. Lora, it has been really eye-opening talking to you. Thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom with us today.
You're welcome. Thank you, Tracy.